So again, just to prep, this video will be helpful for fresher mainly, and those who are in, let's say, 2 to 3 or 4 years of experience also. Those who already have experience, you might be already knowing this, or maybe you might know apart from this also. So you are free to add up. Okay. So CRUD strategies. Now, let me just disable the mute. Now, when do we say CRUD? Like it's just how we, if we talk about any web application, either it is developed in Angular, React, Vue, normally or JavaScript also. Normally, when we talk about applications, we are not talking about website, just an application where admin kind of application, CRUD operations are happening, right? So whatever the project you say, either it's an e-commerce application, flight, banking, any ERP application, school, hospital, insurance, shipping, logistic, any domain you say. Normally, it will be like CRUD application only. Yeah, scenarios will change, business logic will change, but apart at the end, we will be making API call. We'll be showing the data in somewhere. We will be editing. We'll be adding new record. In some application, you won't add record. The record will be coming from another application, but you will get to see it and you will get to open it, something like that. But end of the day, it's just a CRUD operation we are doing. Doesn't matter about the project. Even if we talk about e-commerce also, e-commerce has that product listing is there. So that is nothing but get operation. Just a minute. Okay. So in e-commerce application, we make the get API call, we get the product that we showcase into the website. When we do add to cart, it's actually a post API. So again, it's a CRUD only, but in a different way. When we update the cart, delete the cart, we do the same thing, but in a different manner. So, but ultimately it's a CRUD operation only. Okay. Now, in this video, we are going to just focus on the admin signed up application when user login and we have an admin panel. So what different strategies are there? In website, we have same thing we can have in a website kind of application also, but website has some different UI combinations. So some might not be useful over there, but most of the admin application, we have to go like this. So first is like single component. Let's say if we talk about user registration. Okay, so we have, let's say, 4 different APIs are there, one for get, one for post, one for put, one for update, right? Now, we can design all this, let's say, for get, we can show the data into the table. In the same component, we can have a form also. So that is nothing but single component with the inline form. Let me just, this is an existing project I'm going to use. Localhost 409. Which port I'm running? Okay. So see, this is the first very form we can say. You can have a two cards over here. In one card, you can show the list of the record. And in another card, you will have a use whatever your registration form or employee form, whatever form you will have it over here. Okay. Now we will just use this component and some more component we will create to carry out what are the CRUD operation we are going to see. Just to overview first, this is like single in a CRUD operation in a single component where we will have the list view also and the form view also. Okay. Then here we can have a side panel also, a drawer kind of thing. So here we will have add button. On click of add, this will show. And here we will have close button. On click of close, this will take up full width and this will get hidden. Okay. So this is considered like first one we have already seen. Here we will have the table and here we have the form. Now second way as a drawer, side panel. So this is nothing but you can say as a drawer or a side panel, whatever you are able to understand. So let's say this UI, if we want to make it in a drawer way. So what we need to do, first of all, what we have to do, this should not be always visible. This should be dynamic. Okay, you will have a button over here, add. On click of add, this side panel will be visible. And here you will have a close button. On click of close, you need to hide this and this should take a full width. Okay. Now to achieve this, what thing you need to do? Okay, let me post record. Yeah, this is the component. Now let me show you the UI. So see, I have a row inside that call it is there. Inside call first column, I have the table, and in second column, I have the form. So whatever the you are seeing, UI you are seeing over here. Let me remove this JSON. Okay. Now we just need to make it toggle thing. So we need to have a button also. Now instead of this, what we can do, we can include again row more column. Let's say call 6. Can you clear this? Whoever has done this. Again, I have to stop and share. Try to clear it. Don't do anything. Just be on mute and see what we are seeing. Okay. Add new. Let's add it to the end. Text end. So this is the card view. Again, here also we will have the same, but here we will have the title new user. Fine. Now see. Oh, color we need to change. Let's say warning. Over here also warning. Okay. So see, here we have one button. Here we have one button. This button title should be close. Okay. So what should happen by default, either whatever we decide, either we need the form visible or we can close it also, whatever the default behavior we want. So on click of add, this side panel should be visible. If I close, this should get closed and this should take a complete width, right? So now here we are going to add a dynamic class also. So to achieve this, we can create a variable. Let's create a variable. The variable name will be like is side drawer open, right? Very meaningful variable name. We will store a Boolean type of data. We will go with false. Okay. Now this variable will decide that if we have to show the side panel or not. So now this variable, we will use it over here. So I'm using control plus statement. So if this variable is true, then only we have to render this div. So at the rate if equal to true. We don't need to compare actually, but just everyone should be able to understand. That's why I'm comparing. This is also pretty enough, right? Because if condition needs Boolean value, by default, we are getting true Boolean value into the output is also same thing. Okay. Now by default, we are saying false. Okay. So see now. Now the side panel is not visible. But if the side panel is not visible, this list view should take a complete width. Now the dynamic class we need to add. So here, this is our static class. Now instead of this, we can use ng class also, but this is standalone project. So if you have to use ng class, again, you need to import it. But instead of that, you can use the property binding also. What will be condition? If this variable is true, instead of this static now, if this variable is true, we need to add this class, otherwise this class. So if side panel is true, so we need the shorter width, means call it, otherwise call 12. See now. Currently that side panel is not visible. So you see, we got the 100% width. Now on click of add, we need to show the side panel. Now it just that variable we need to toggle, right? Let's toggle form. Okay. Now we just need to toggle the value since it's a Boolean. So we can use not operator to just the toggle the value, right? So is side panel is equal to not of this dot side panel. And this function we can call over here also, right? And same function we can call on the close button also in the other side panel. See now, by default, it is like that. If I click on add new, you get your side panel visible. Once you save the form, on click of save user also in success of the API call, you will again call the same function. But let's say user open it and you don't want to do it, right? On click again, like we have edit button. Now on click of edit button also, again, we need to toggle. So the same function we need to call on the edit also. So this is my function. So here I will call this. right? Correct? See, a small defect is there. Let's say I open this record. Currently, I have the data. I close it also. Now, if I click on add new, see the existing data is still there, right? So every time now we have the function separate, which is going to know like we are opening a new form. Now you can again reset your object. So this object you can reset over here. So your form, whenever you are opening the side panel, existing data will be cleared out. No, now see, on click of edit we are doing, and this function we are calling after we are assigning it over here. So this we need to call before over here, so that first our form will get assigned clear, then we are assigning the new value. See, now if I let's open, close it, and if I click on add new, see, again if I write something and I don't want to save it, I will close it. Again if I can see, again my form got reset. Okay, this is one way where we have, what do we say, side drawer. One more variation will be, now again like in interview now they are asking like what will be the scenario when you will use this way. Anyone can try in what scenario you will use this way, where we can have a side drawer. What will be scenario where you should go for this strategy?
Sir, when we have to the checklist, compliance checklist of of the record.
No.
Like
Let's
which
say
one?
it's an
Let's
either
say
it is employee form, user form, anything it can be, right?
yes.
We are talking about CRUD only. So what will be scenario where you will use this way?
So something like this only when we have something in the table view, but on clicking it, we want the details to be displayed.
No, but here
Just
we are able to create it
yeah.
also, na? We can create the new record also from over here, right?
Sir, if we
Yeah.
have 10 fields in the table, and if you want to display only some of the fields, that can be editable. So those fields can be displayed in the
But
side
let's say in the table we have 20 field. Obviously 20 field we are not going to show in the table, but let's say in object I have 20 field. So will you choose side drawer for form?
No.
So that was
it
my
has to be a
question,
new component.
right? When we have to choose this way. Understood now? When we have to choose this way. If
Yeah.
your
When there are
form doesn't
less
have so many field, very small form is there, then you should go for this. Clear? Because
yes, sir.
very limited view
Yes.
we have. Na? In the viewport only, it should be user should be able to see all the field. If it is, let's say 20, 30 fields are there, then again we have to scroll because we have very less space over here. Correct? Okay. So this is first way. Now, similar to this, one more way is there. If the fields are more, let's say not just 4 to 5 field, let's say I have 20 field. So I will use now second component for same thing.
Sir, I have a question with the toggle one.
Go ahead.
Let's say accidentally the user click double 2 times that new user. So that toggle will not work, right?
Right. So
It
we can
means
have a separate function for that, right? Just for understanding, I have created. Now on click of add, you should have a different function. On click of close, you should have different function. Might happen, na? User might
or
click
maybe
2
we can
times.
pass the parameter.
Yeah, that also. There are, as I said, now to complete one thing, there are multiple ways, right? Instead of going with the Boolean value, you can go with the string value also, and you can pass visible, not, something like that, right? Okay, that is your code. You can do anything, but strategy will be like this. Okay. Now, second component is reactive form I'm using. Now here, let's say consider a scenario where you have around 20 field and you cannot use that side panel now because 20 field over here doesn't look good. Again, user have to scroll. So here what I can do, can anyone guess what we can do in the same component? What should we do?
Popup we can use.
Popup also we can use. But again, like popup will have this much space only, na? Again, popup is not a full screen, right? Let's say over here and over here. Correct? Any another solution?
We can route to a different component.
Sorry?
Can we route to a different component?
Yeah, no, I'm saying within the same component, I need to manage.
Accordion.
But where?
No, scroll
How
bar,
you will show?
scroll bar, sir.
No, I'm
Sir,
saying user should
one
not be
scenario,
scrolling, na?
sir, the form looks like same only, but I mean, based on the condition, we can able to talk. I mean, if the form is new form, we should display the same form. If it is a edit form, we need, I mean, based on the condition, we should display the same form with the
No.
Sir,
See,
we can
again,
have
I
a
will repeat
button
my.
on
You
the
can
top specifying
Again, I will
specifying
you
repeat
can
my
hide the
question.
list.
Yeah.
You can hide the
See,
list and show the form only.
I said we have 20 field. So if you have to show the 20 field in the form, you need the whole screen, right? Currently form has just this much portion. So we cannot show 20 fold, it will have a scroll bar. So we can either have a list view or the form view. Got it? This was the solution. Let's try this now. So here in previous video, we have created a Boolean variable. Let's say here we will create a string variable. View mode string, and by default I'm assigning list value. Okay, so I created a variable view mode. Now in the UI we have call it and call and call for. Now both will have call 12. Okay, now see what happens. We have list and below we have the form for the toggle. But what I need at a time, either list or form will be visible. So here we will use if this variable has list value, then I will render the first column where our list div is there, and else here we will have our second column. Okay, so at a time only list is visible. Now we need a button over here to toggle. Same thing what we did earlier. Let me just copy paste that. List. So now I won't be creating a variable here, only I'm changing the value. Okay, so view mode is equal to, it will be new form, and here it will be new user. Same I will copy. Just copy the same thing in the second column over here. Instead of this, I have to make it again with list value. And here I will say close, or we can say list, go to list, something meaningful. See now. So by default, we have the form, a list view. If I click, I got the form view. Now here you can have a bigger form. Clear? Again, it will go back. Understood? So how many field you have, based on that, we have to decide the scenario. Now this question
In
is
this
really,
case,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Yeah, in this case, maybe you must be about to cover it. For the edit only, I just wanted to understand, like
Again,
if we
we
are
will
going new
toggle.
user. Yeah.
Right now, just for understanding, I directly change the variable value over here, but you will create a function, right? Because if you do like this, you cannot assign the value. So on click of edit, again, you can do that. So normally we should go for a function instead of changing the variable value on the HTML only. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so consider like if you are applying for interview more than, let's say, 4 years or 5 years. So is this questions, like whatever we are saying, is this important? Is this whatever we are doing, is this important?
Yes, sir.
Right? Because when we start working on any task, let's say it's a complete new project. When the project is new, now everything is scratch, right? So based on your understanding, sometimes it's not guaranteed that in every project you will get prototype or Figma design or Adobe design. It's not possible for every company to have a UX person who will design your application, right? Some application are data centric. Data is important, UI is not important. So it's up to us what UI strategy we have to go, right? But again, like we have to think also, like if the forms are very only few things are there, so we have to decide like this. Okay, clear this way?
Yes, sir.
Shall we move ahead? Now, the third way, I don't have the component ready. Okay, I will be using this same component now, okay, to achieve the remaining. So this was like a toggle thing we have done. Instead of side drawer, just hide and show the list view mode. Third was you can use a model pop-up also. Now again, model pop-up will be with limited fields only, because model is also having a, in the viewport only we show that, from left side also, and here also some spacing will be there, right? Let's open Bootstrap site. Okay, so this is your small model, but we can open the LG one also. LG. Okay, still LG is also having some spacing left from over here, some spacing left. This is only space we have. So still again it is limited. But what happens now? So many application client want it to be more interactive. So instead of going with that side panel or hide and show, model pop-up looks very trendy. Agree? Instead of going with this design, model pop-up looks very proper.
Yes, sir.
So that way is also there. So let's quickly do that. So this is the model pop-up code. So we need, let's copy. Now at the end, I will put my model pop-up. New user. And here we will have our form. Body, and we need the button also. Let's copy.
Sir, how we decide that model pop-up has to be open here in the screen?
See, it's best either you go with that hide and show toggle thing, or you can go with the model also with limited number of field. But again, like it should come from your client also. You can suggest whenever you are sprint planning, right? Requirement gathering, or what's the right word? What do we
But
do?
I am saying not this, like where will be the location of this model when it's gonna be shown?
It will
By
open,
default,
na?
it's on the top of the page, or we can manipulate
Anywhere
as
you
well.
can keep, anywhere at the bottom, in between, anywhere, na? Because this is going to open above the your form, na? It has position relative, it will have top something, right? See over here.
Okay.
Where placement doesn't matter. You can keep it anywhere. Understood? Because
Yeah.
it will open on the screen, na? So in your HTML, you keep it at the top or bottom, doesn't matter. Okay, but normally we should keep it at the bottom, because at the top, actually rendering UI elements will be there. Okay, clear?
Yep.
Okay. So this model pop-up is there. Now this model pop-up we have to open on this button click, right? Now instead of this, click open model. Now how do we open the model? There are at least 3 ways to open the model pop-up in Bootstrap by using Bootstrap model. There are 3 ways at least. Again, there might be.
Show hide method.
Yeah, this function, but how you open the model pop-up? See, here it is opening directly because of this data toggle property and data toggle, this ID, whatever the ID we have of the model that we are passing because of this opening. But this is opening because they might be having that bootstrap.js. See, if I remove this now, see, currently it is opening. If I remove this bootstrap.js, it won't open. Okay. So this thing, they have code written over there in the bootstrap.js. So what if the data property is model, and whatever the ID you pass, that model pop-up, it will open. But how do you open? How do you do the same thing in your Angular? Anyone guesses any? This is very common question. How do you open Bootstrap? Because see, when we talk about Angular now, 60% type they go for a Bootstrap. Agree? Is Tailwind that much famous in Angular?
V-child.
right? Yeah, view child, right? So one way is using view child. Another way is you can directly add a dynamic style also, class also you can add. Or if you in your angular.json, you have imported angular.json. So this way also you can use whatever we have done it over here now. But if you have imported bootstrap.js, so as 4 ways are there. Okay, let's see the view child. So at the rate view child. What is view child? What's this? What is view child? What do we say about view child?
HTML data sent to TS.
That is that, but what's the technical term for view child?
Template reference variable.
Template
No.
reference variable.
No. What is view child? The word I'm asking.
Decorator.
Decorator. What type of
Okay.
decorator?
Okay, sorry.
What type of decorator?
Input
No.
decorator.
No. What type of decorator?
Class
Input is
decorator.
in,
Structure.
Query the
no, na, property decorator. Where we are adding this instead of in front of a variable, na? Right? This is your variable. In front of it, you are adding. Let's say if we have input. In front of variable, you are adding. These are property decorator, class decorator, property decorator, method decorator. So this is property decorator. Okay. What will be data type? Element ref, because in this view child, we are going to store a reference of our HTML element. Okay. Now, whenever you try to access a view child, always add a null check. Okay. Means if it didn't found that element, by default, your view child will be null. So this dot my model dot native element dot style dot display, we are adding dynamic style
Block.
is equal to block. Just like this, we will need one more method to close it also. It will be none.
सर इसको
This
ngif if से भी कर सकते हैं
ngif
show
से
file.
कैसे होगा? ngif से देखो, ये मॉडल तो बाय डिफॉल्ट ही है, फिर भी दिख रहा है क्या? ये तो डायरेक्टली है ना अभी, फिर भी लोड हो रहा है क्या यहाँ पे? नहीं ना।
No.
तो बाय डिफॉल्ट ये जो अपना क्लास है ना मॉडल, इसमें डिस्प्ले नन प्रॉपर्टी होती है। जब अपन क्लिक करेंगे तो ब्लॉक करेंगे तब जाके ये दिखता है। ओके, दिस फंक्शन वी नीड टू कॉल. Okay, we called it over here already. Other function close model, we have to call it in our model popup on this close icon. Click. Let's see. Click of open, not opening. Save. Let's see why it is not opening. Okay. What's this error? What is this error? Can anyone guess what is this error?
We have to import forms module.
It is there already. See?
name
See
property.
the UI. See, we are using form control, but did we add form group?
No.
We copied na directly, so we have to add the form group, correct? So we cannot use the form group. It's equal to, what's my form name? User form. Why it is giving error?
F is small. First F.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No, still. Okay, sure.
We need square bracket. Yeah.
Guys, be on mute, Gopi. Okay, let's try now on click of add. Now it is opening. Because in that template we had the error, so it was not rendering. Okay, it will break. Whenever it got the error, it will break. On click of close, we are closing it also. Understood? Now on click of edit, again, we need to call that function, but before calling, we need to initialize our reactive form. Understood? Clear? So first one was having a side drawer. Second was we can hide and show the whole form and the list view. Third is modal popup. Clear? Now all this strategy you will use when you have limited number of fields in your form. Okay. But let's say you have around 50 fields in your form. So what you will do? 50 field you have in your object. What you will do?
Render a new
do-
component.
Right? So for the form, you will create a new component. Correct? Means whatever your form is there, you will create just like a list component and one more, let's say create new user. Okay. Let's quickly do that. Now, for let's say this component with the name I have created new user, you created new record also. And in case of in your here at the edit, what you will do? Let's say if we have form in the new component, new user, on click of edit, what we have to do? We will navigate to that other component with the ID which you want to edit, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right? So the route I have to create will be or let's say this component you have created for creating new user, and for update also you will create one more component, or can we use the same component?
We can use the same one.
Right? But there are situations you might have also seen, those who are working for update, we have a different component. So many projects I have also seen, you might have also seen. For update, for create, you have a different component. For update, you have a different component. What might be the reason for having different component? What can be scenario for having different component for create and for update?
You can give
So for
different
create, we don't have
variable.
ID, right?
But just for one single field, why you will create, no? Right?
So in the create component, no values should be populated. In the edit form, the value should be populated, sir.
But we can use the same component not to do that. Right? Same UI is there. We can use it while initializing your, let's say, object or a reactive form. You will initialize with the default value or with the object, whatever you have.
But user can't click both the, I mean, in the same button, right, sir?
You get my question. I'm saying for create, sometimes we have a different component, and for update, we have some different component. What are the scenarios where we create separate component for create and the update?
If we don't want the user to change some values.
Right? Or let's say in create mode, user will be able to do same everything. But while updating, only some fields are there which he can update. Okay, again, in the one component only we can manage that. But one more scenario can be, let's say while creating, you create some record only, some field only. But in update, you get so many different fields. Those fields might be API might be adding. Okay, so when your create form and update form are not same, some rules and regulation are very different. So in that case, you have to go a different component. For update, you will have a different component, and for create, you will have a different component. Clear?
So still we can handle those one in the logic.
Yeah,
right?
in the same component. But again, like unnecessary code you need to write. So many like either disable, enable, hide, show. So many code you will write. Let's say, consider you have a 50 field in your form. Now, if you take the same component and by writing the custom code also, you hide, show, you disable something, everything you have managed. Okay. Once you add, even though those fields are there, your ng if or @ if or ng class, it will take some time to execute. Just
Yes,
don't
sir.
focus like you have just 10 or field. Consider, let's say you have around 150 field in your form. So all that ng if and ng disabled, whatever the code you are writing in the HTML, it will take some time to execute.
Yes, sir.
Correct or no? Right? So when it comes to,
Yes, sir.
what do we say? Performance optimization, this also you need to consider. Because if you use this ng if, let's say, if your symbol if condition is also is there, it is going to take some time to evaluate this. Let's say
Yes,
like
sir.
this, you have 70 if condition. How much time it is going to take? And those condition doesn't matter also in the create mode, but still you have to execute because you have not moved that in a separate component. Now understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Like, you know, that time complexity into question we get asked, like when you use for loop, for each, index, filter, find, right? Time complexity word will come. Just like that here also. Like we can calculate like how much time UI is taking to render. Okay. At what technology we have where this testing happen? Means where tester will test our load time and everything. Anyone have seen that? Anyone project? Means tester will
Sir,
test.
sometimes, you know,
Performance testing.
what it happens, the lead of the front end team, he asked whatever the architecture we are following for other modules, you have to follow the same one. In
It's
that
like
situation, what we
Hmm.
can do?
we cannot do anything, whatever he say, right? Because some projects will have some UI unique combination, right? You cannot decide on your own, even though sometimes like it looks very obvious that we should go with this design, but your overall project doesn't match that design. So we have to stick to that, whatever they are following. Agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we have to provide a common look and feel overall the application. You cannot suddenly have a model pop-up. You cannot suddenly have a side drawer. Whatever your project structure is there, like that we have to go. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Where we were? What we were discussing before this? Okay, that performance testing. So actually, like, what was that? Some technologies there, na? JUnit. What do we use JUnit for? JUnit or something is there, na? Which actually calculate our loading time, what component, how much time it is taking to render. Something is there. I'm not recalling it.
Performance, sir.
Means QA people normally does that. Once we deployed our application on the production, they will test like this particular page, how much time it is taking to load. They get that. Then based on that, we divide our component, because if particular component is taking so much time to render, right? So we divide that component into chunks of the different component so that our application will load faster. Okay. So that's why whenever you are choosing something or whenever you are deciding, you have to keep that thing also mind. Okay. Now, so we have created this component where we are going to have a new form. Okay. Be on mute, background noise is coming. Now, if we have to create the route for this, let's say we are just going to use the same component for create also and update also. What will be my route look like? It should be a normal route or parameterized route,
Parameter route
right?
with the ID.
Let's say create new user. So it will be parameterized route, right? Colon slash, what do we will be? Let's say user ID,
And even the
okay,
button we can send in the route.
right? So let's say this component we are using. Now here on click of add, we won't open the model pop-up. So on click of it, let's say maybe get to new user. Okay. Now this function we need to call. Now, when we have to create the new user, okay, on click of add, we are creating new user. So what you should have in your URL? Because we have a single route with the ID. Okay. If we don't pass the ID, will UI load or it will break? Let's try. So we have to navigate, right? Router is equal to inject router. Okay. Now this dot router dot navigate by URL and my route name, that is create new user. Will it load if I navigate like this?
No.
No, sir.
What will be the error?
It will go to wildcard.
Okay, yeah,
component.
currently we have wildcard, so it will go to that wildcard. But if you don't have the wildcard, what it will do? What error we will get,
No specific route found.
right? No route found with matching URL. Okay, because this route is a parameterized route. So how do you navigate to this in case of new record? In case of new record,
without the ID parameter.
but it won't execute now because this parameter is there. So we cannot visit this route without the parameter. So what should we do?
So we
We
have to
should
pass
create
the
another route without ID.
But again, like for same component, we have two different routes. That also doesn't make sense. We can, but for same component, we should not have more parameter, right? More route, right? So what we can do? In edit, it will work fine because while editing, you will pass the ID. You got the ID also. In case of new, what we have to do?
pass 0, sir.
0. Okay. You will pass 0. Okay. So when you have to navigate, what is the? So /0 we will pass. Okay.
Then remove that other route.
So you on click of this, we are able. No, still why it got to the not found? URL route is correct or not?
The colon should be after the slash.
/:, yeah. Every time I get confused. See, now it loaded. Okay. What is this component lifecycle? Why lifecycle? Oh, get new user. What's the component name? New user.
Sir, I have a question over here.
Quickly.
If I want to send something in a route but doesn't want to show in the URL, can we access those things?
Route data you can access. Instead of passing it in the parameter, you can store the data into the route data, and then you can extract this over here. Okay. So in case of new mode, we will have a 0 over here. Now, if it is 0, you will have some, let's say in case of new record, you need to write some logic. So how do you read this value? Because if it is a new record, you have some things to be disabled or some hide and show. You need to read this now. Or in your edit mode.
So activated routes are there.
Right? Okay, let me just complete the edit mode.
But if we don't want to show 0 over there for the new record, so then how will we handle?
Yeah, that's what I said. Instead of having that, instead of navigating with the query parameter, you can store that ID in your route data also. Route has a data property there. You can store some data. There you can store. And over here, once you navigate to your new user, you will read that data activate from activated route. Okay.
But when it will not have that ID and we are navigating with that ID only. So, okay, but like we have stored it in our activated route. But when we don't have it, that property ID, then how it will work?
See, on this component, new user component, you will access in two scenarios, while creating and while updating, correct? While creating, you don't have the ID, and while updating, you have the ID. Only two scenarios are there. When you are creating a new, you won't store anything. Okay. And when you read the query activated route data, you will check if the data is there or not. Means that is a new mode. And if the data is there, that means you are in the edit mode. Correct?
Okay, so our routing file will be different then, is it?
No, why do you need, then routing will be same only,
Able
no?
to.
Without parameter then, because you are not using this, you are storing into the data. Correct? Over here you are storing, na?
Okay.
Understood. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
so on click of edit, let me write this dot router dot navigate. What's the difference between navigate and navigate by URL? There are two ways, right? How we can navigate. What's the difference?
Navigate URL means the whole URL. And navigate means just a path.
No. Navigate accept array. Okay, whenever you are going to navigate with multiple parameter, now navigate we have to use. See what it needs? Array. Okay. Your first will be your query parameter, route name. And after that, all the elements will be your, what do we say, query parameter. Okay. See, same thing we can do with this also. Instead of this, plus user.id you will do. Both thing will do the same thing. But consider like in your parameter, you have 5 to 6 query parameter. Okay. In your route, you have 5 to 6 query parameter. So which way will be efficient?
First way.
Right? Because here again, like concatenation is there. Instead of this looks very easy. Correct? So that's why we have two ways, navigate and the navigate by URL. Okay. Let's see on click of edit, we are navigating or not. See, on click of edit, we are able to navigate with the ID. Now we have to read this, right? Because on click of edit, you need to read this data and then you will call get user by ID and you will pass this ID. Then your form will populate, right? So we need to read the data also. So for that, in your new user component, constructor, what you need to inject? What you need to inject? Activated route, activated route. Okay. Now in activated route, from where we can extract the data? Params. Okay. So in previous version, we used to have something else. Up to, I think 12 or 13 was there. Something else was there, but that got deprecated now. Okay. So we can subscribe to this parameter. What type of data we get it over here? String array. Huh?
Array.
Here, what type of data we get?
Array.
No,
Object.
object we get.
Object.
See. How many parameter you say? What the parameter name? This will be your object key value pair data you will get. Let's reload. Continue. See, in result, you got the object. Currently, we just have one parameter. So you have user ID. Let's say you have multiple parameter. No? So multiple parameter key value pair data, you will get it over here. Clear? Now you got the ID. And once you get the ID, again, you will call your API call to get all the particular user ID record. And then you will initialize your form. And then form will be showing your data. Clear? Understood? When you have a separate component. Clear? So we completed up till over here. Next is inline editing. What do we mean by inline editing? What do we mean by inline editing? Again, all these things we are seeing now, it is not only limited to Angular, React also, Vue also, or even JavaScript also. Okay, same thing we can do. Obviously, code will be different, but same way we can do it on all the technologies. Okay, what is inline editing now? And when we have to use it?
Maybe making the table cell values editable.
But yeah, means instead of having this, we will have, let's say if I click on edit, instead of showing this TD will get converted into text box with the value. That is nothing but inline editing, correct?
Yeah, yes.
What will be the scenario where we have to use inline editing?
Not idea.
See, let's say some data is there which is very limited. Only 3 to 4 fields are there in your form. Only 4 to 5 fields are there. So instead of having a separate form, we can do this over here only, right? Correct or no? Let's say you just have 4 fields. Your full name, username, password. Only three fields are there. Why do you need a form? Here only you can do that. Correct? So when you have very less field and it should be very quick, because see, if you have a new form now, user has to click on it, then your form will open, then you will do this, Then you will click on save. Again, you need to close it. So many clicks are there. Consider something is there which user is going to use so many times. Very frequently user is going to insert some data or update some data. So this way, on click of edit, again, we need to open. Is this really helpful for user? Consider this form, particular user is going to use so many times, at least every time user is going to use this application, continuously he are going to update, delete, something is going on. So is this way really helpful?
No, sir.
Right? Because we create application for user, not for ourselves. Now he should be our application should be user friendly, right? Let's say scenario will be ticketing system or something where only continuously customer are coming and he has to continuously do something, right? So very quickly he should be able to complete the operation. So there we go for inline editing. Again, bulk upload. At the time, let's say 5 to 6 record you need to add. There also inline editing plays very important role. Let's say at a time you need to add 5 record. So if we have this scenario, add 1 record, close, again add 5 terms, so many clicks are there. But let's say you just click on 5 terms add, you will get 5 empty rows, you will add the value and on click of save, you will pass the whole array, bulk upload. Clear? So whenever you have to do the bulk upload now, inline editing is the only and the possible good way. Okay. Let's try quickly inline editing. Now on click of toggle, add new, I'll be using add new. So now let's say if we are going to do the inline editing, on click of add new, what should happen? What should happen on click of add new? If we have inline editing over here.
New record will be created in the grid.
New record with text box, right? With empty value. A
Yes.
new object we have to push to this array, right? Now, so on click of add new, or let's convert this into our editable first. Input. Text. Now, how do I bind this value to my text box? How do I bind this value to my text box? Because when I
NG
render, I
model,
need to
sir.
render the value, na? NG model, square bracket, NG model. Can I use value attribute over here by using property binding? Will it work?
Yes.
Will it work with inline, with input type? Sorry, that value property binding?
Yes, sir.
No, just for sir radio button it works.
No. Understand properly. Will it work if I use input type value?
No, sir.
Why? Why it won't work?
Because it will not be editable mode.
Obviously, it will be in the editable mode. Let me copy. Okay. See, whenever someone asks you the difference between your property binding and the property binding and your NG model, this is very important. Now, instead of this, I'm using value property binding over here.
Sir,
Okay.
it won't make the changes to the that one.
Right. Okay. So
It's
this is one
considered
way
as a
only,
one-way
na?
binding, not two-way binding.
Right. Why it is saying new? Okay. Let's create this function also quickly. So we got this. Okay. It will be available, but if I change in anything, only text box value got changed. It is not going to that array object because one way. So that's why we have to use NG model. Understood now? Right. So once you are passed after the 3-4 years of experience, now no one will ask what is. They will ask vice versa. Okay. What is that now? Okay, this will need to one comment. Okay, so with NG model, it will display the value, but if you change, it is actually going to update the particular field from that array particular object. Okay, now So on click of add, what we need to do? We have to insert new object into this array. Okay. So this is my object, right? We already have lots. Let's copy. So on click of add new, constant new obj equal to this. Now I have to push this. So user list dot. Shall I use push or unshift? Which method I should use to push the element?
Push.
What
Unshift,
push
sir.
will does? Push will add at the end. If I add the new
In
record at the
Sorry,
end,
sorry. Unshift.
right? Unshift. Because new record should be added at the top, no? We will add this object over here. Understood? Now I can enter all the data in one go. And if you have a bulk upload API, here you will have the save button. All the array will go over there. Clear? This is your inline editing. Again, like inline editing, there are many ways. Instead of having this, you can on click of edit, you will turn this. Again, so many possibilities are there for inline editing. Understood? Clear? Yes, it is
One,
line editing.
there is one more doubt I have. If suppose there are 3 empty boxes for full name, username, and password, so we should use a form array to save the all
Correct.
9.
See, either you can go for template also, or this you can use with your form array also. That's the right way. Instead of going, this is very easy. You don't have to write any code to manage it. But if you have to go for reactive form, again, so many things we have to write. But you can handle the validation very well. In case of template, now you need to write your custom code to handle the validation. But there, it is proper validation you can add with reactive form array. Understood? So this scenario, if you think of if you need to complete it very quickly, you can go for ng model. But if it like validation and everything should be properly handled, always we have to go for a reactive form with the form array. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, so inline editing a separate page here. So what will be tab based? What will be tab based? Any guesses? What will we mean by tab based? And where will we will use this? No one?
No idea, sir.
Let's say you have an employee form, and in that form, from your API, your object is like this.
Sir, now I got it. There are different multiple tabs like general for the person leaving
Right.
information, family information, but you have to edit only family information. Am I wrong or correct?
Correct. Consider you have a API form like this, where you have a bigger object. Inside that, nested objects are there. Basic info, contact info, families detail are multiple. Again, experience are multiple. So many things can be there. So if you have this kind of scenario, now you can handle this in another way, other way also. You can have a separate component also. Obviously, for this you will have a separate component because fields are more. But again, with the separate component, instead of showing all these fields one by one, you can bifurcate gits or categorize this, right? So there you can have tab. So like tab is like tab now, no? What is that? Yeah, like this. Okay. So on click of it, only one particular information will be available at a time. Let's say basic info, family info, contact info, experiences. It will be in the same component, but we will just make user to, instead of scrolling and instead of showing everything in a one go, you are just categorizing your form. Understood? These are tab. When in your form, you have so many fields and related data you just need to combine. You will go for this. Or instead of this, you can have a side panel also over here. Either you can show the tab over here, or here you will show the tab, and on click of it, you get the whole screen. That form will populate. You are able to imagine, right? The second way.
Yes.
Okay. Open paint and we'll expand. Let's say you have a form over here, and on the side panel, you will have a tab over here, one by one tab over here. Okay. If you click on this tab, particular basic information component will be visible. Again, you can that whole your component, instead of putting all your HTML into one component, you can move your HTML code into different component also. Over here, contact info. Either you can keep all your HTML into single component, or you can create different component also. That is also possible. Okay. And last one was multi-step. Again, like the same thing we are discussing. If you have a nested form and so many things are there, either you go on a tab based, or you can have a stepper also, multiple step based form. So these two way you can use instead of you have a, if you have a object like this. Clear? Understood all?
Sir,
Fine.
we can have a multiple panels in the one component, right?
Yeah, accordion also we can have, apart from this now, to handle this, you can have accordions also. Okay.
So you mean by tab means it's like on the top of the component there are buttons
Yeah,
kind
you
of
will have
thing?
kind of thing. Tab will be there. On click of respective tab, at a time only one tab will be active. So that component, that form will be visible, right?
Okay.
This instead of that, you can have tabs over shown over here left side. Instead of that, you can have a stepper also, or accordion
Okay.
also. All this form, instead of having tab and everything, you can show accordion. At a time only one accordion will be visible. Or you again, you can write the code also, multiple accordion also can be visible, right?
Yes.
Understood? So see, just
which type of form should be used in
over
this
here,
scenario? That is,
right? If you have form into different component, so you cannot have a form created in different component. No? So instead of creating form into your component, you will move your form into your service, so that a single instance will be shared across all the different component. Okay. Clear all?
Could you repeat it, sir?
See, the scenario was, let's say for basic information, you have created one more component. For family information, you have created one more component. For experience, you have created one more component. Instead of designing whole form into single component, you have created different component. But when you pass the object, you have to pass the whole object. But now your forms are into different component. So instead of creating your form into your every component, you will have create that form into your service, and that form you will access in all the component.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes.
Normally, where do we create form? Into our component, but we can create our form into service also. Reactive form specifically I'm talking, not the template. Okay. Yeah.
It is.
Fine. So on 8:15. Anyone with question? Okay. Thank you guys. Thanks
Sir,
for joining.
when we are going to start that preparation batch?
I will inform. Just give me 1 or 2 days. I have my Scrum call are not happening regularly on the same time. Once it gets streamlined, then I will. Just 2-3 days. Fine.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Be available
Thanks for
on
joining.
YouTube.
Sorry?
When this video will be available on YouTube?
Tomorrow morning. I will
Tomorrow.
upload it today, tomorrow morning. Or
Thank
if
you.
possible,
Thank you
today
so
only I will
much.
do it. Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.